the Northeast are starting to change. It's beautiful around here. And talking about beautiful guys, our guest this week is one of the most versatile voices in the industry. He provides voices for commercials, narrations, TV promos, award shows, animations, and games. The guy with the great hair, Dave Fennoy. And lately, he's been known by 30 million plus Hulu viewers as the HULU Guy.
The HULU Guy. So glad he's going to be on. I'll be talking about noise reduction techniques. What techniques work best in which situation? Noise sampling, gating, what is it? I'll cover that today.
I'll have a few thoughts on that as well. And in my tip of the week, we're going to talk about how to avoid computer problems with proper computer maintenance. Don't miss that one.
Oh boy, that hits home. I'll be talking about the tech news that's popped up this week, things that I think you guys all want to know about.
And a few more questions from our audience. That's East West Audio Body Shop, Sunday night at 9 here in the East.
And 6 o'clock here in the West.
We'll see you then.
He's the voiceover studio engineer of the Stars in Los Angeles, California, a Virginia Tech grad with a knowledge of recording studios unmatched in his field. He's a voice actor from Buffalo, New York, with 30 years experience in recording studios and behind the mic. He solves people's home voiceover studio problems in the blink of an eye. Together, there's no studio problem they can't solve, and they'll do it for you tonight. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. Now, live from a basement in Buffalo and an office in LA, here are Dan Leonard and George Whittam.
Well, hello again. I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East West Audio Body Shop. All right. Well, we've made it through another week here.
Yes. Tornado activity.
Tornado activity in California?
I
What?
thought that an important word. A tornado of activity.
Oh, a
Let's put it that way.
tornado of activity.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Amazing how
All
that
right.
little two-letter word changes the meaning of that sentence, isn't it?
That's the amazing thing about the English language. Imagine what it must be like in Chinese. We'll have to ask Zellman about that one.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we've got a great show tonight. I mean, just great stuff. We're not gonna go very long tonight because I have a situation I've got to deal with. Unfortunately, my father-in-law down in Florida is not doing very well, so I have to pop on a plane first thing tomorrow morning, like 6:25. So I got to take care of a couple of things. But the show must go on. I'm here now, and so let the show begin. We've got a great guest tonight. We've got Dave Fennoy. Well, if you were watching the promo, you know that. But Dave's a great guy, a wonderful talent, a great spokesperson for our industry, and somebody we all like to talk to. And he's going to tell us all about his great career. And we're going to talk about a lot more technical stuff and what he has to do every day from a technical point of view. And he's a former radio guy, so I can totally relate. And we've got, you're going to talk about some noise reduction techniques. And we have, of course, announcements. And we've got my tip of the week. Going to talk a little bit about computer maintenance. Important stuff. And Dave will join us. And then a little bit about some VO tech news and our general discussions of stuff. And of course, if you have questions for Dave when he comes on, get in the chat room. Let us know. We love seeing you there as I look over towards the chat room. We've got a bunch of people in there.
The chat
Glad
room
to
makes
see
this
it.
show even more fun than it already would be without it.
That's true. That's
So
true.
It makes this show unique, partly.
That's right. I think most of you are watching that and could care less what we're talking about. But
Sometimes I feel like, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, man. I just came from my first kiddie concert, you know, where you go to a show just for the kids.
Oh, you mean like Rafi?
Well, not, yeah, kind of like that. I saw Imagination Movers.
Ooh.
And, you know, what's cool about that, it's a live band. I mean, it's a real live band.
Oh yeah.
These guys are really playing on stage. They're talented. They're a lot of fun. And, you know, I had a good time. I really had a good time. Ella had a great time too. And, you know, I think the only problem, we didn't stay for the whole thing because it just gets too loud. I mean, when it started out, it was at a good volume. And as it went on, you could tell the volume just creeps up. You know, as the energy goes up, the volume creeps up. And eventually the kids were both like, you know, I could tell it was just too much. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was weird. We were all sitting on the floor of the Club Nokia, where people are usually standing. They had kids carpeting and stuff on the floor. and then all the kids are standing, but the grown-ups, you know, you're not supposed to stand because then the kids can't see. So it was weird. But anyway, we had a good time.
Well, that's good. I mean, you got to do that stuff when the kids are young, and it's a fun thing to do together. And you look back at it and you go, what was I thinking? You know, but you know, it's like those people complaining about, you know, thinking the Teletubbies is a really stupid show. Well, it's written for 3-year-olds, for crying out loud.
And people that are high at 1 a.m, apparently.
Tinky Winky.
But you know, I mean, PBS was rerunning that show at 1 a.m. So there's no logical explanation for that other than
it was so people could record it and show it any time when their kid needs to take a nap. Oh, look, it's Teletubbies.
Sure. That's it, man.
Been there, done that. Anyway, so why don't we get the show on the road here, or keep it right here at home? Because we're talking about home studios and stuff. But you wanted to lead off tonight. We want to have a little discussion about noise reduction technology, because it was discussed in a couple of forums this week, and people are always asking us about it. But let's hear your end of it on the West Coast.
Yeah, well, I try to pick a topic that does have a lot of activity in the forums and such, and so we can be really relevant. And we talk about noise, background noise, hiss. We talk about this stuff a lot because it's probably one of the biggest. It's probably one of the problems we deal with more than any. If there was any problem that floats to the top, it's probably noise. And I hear a lot about people using noise reduction techniques, and there are many kinds of noise reduction techniques. Some of them, in my opinion, are better than others. Some of them work better for certain situations than others. One of the biggies that is so popular, and it's mainly because it comes as a free utility as a part of Audacity, is digital noise reduction. And that's the type of noise reduction where you take a sample of the room tone, the white noise, whatever it is, the stuff you want to get rid of, and then using an algorithm, it goes through and it scrubs it back out of the audio and tries to remove only the noise without disturbing the sound of your voice. Well, therein lies the problem. If the noise is severe enough, then you have to use too much of it, and then it starts to make you sound not natural anymore. I don't know how to describe it, but it starts to sound like a flangy, almost even at times echoey sound. It just doesn't sound like you in a raw recording anymore.
Well, you know why that is. Because what it's doing is it's taking you're sampling out certain pieces of the audio,
right? And
when you take an entire spectrum from 0 to the 20,000 hertz,
right?
It's going to take little bits of all of that. So when you apply that to the entire file, it's ripping out all these little frequencies all over the place. And what it's essentially causing is undersampling, and you're taking out chunks of your voice and stuff. And that's why you're hearing that garbling sound.
Yeah. I rarely find that you can use, say, more than a 15% or 15 dB or whatever reduction setting that without getting major problems. So anyway, but it comes free in Audacity. So for that reason, it's used very heavily because a lot of people, that's their first experience with noise reduction. But unfortunately, Audacity doesn't come with one of the better tools, and that is using a noise gate or downward expansion. And the big difference there between digital noise reduction and, say, noise gates are a noise gate is more of an analog process. It's not a algorithm using digital, sampling and all sorts of stuff to filter it. It's actually more of an analog process. When I mean that, I mean, yes, it's happening in the computer. So, but it's just mathematics looking at how loud something is versus how quiet it is and making a change in volume. It's sort of the opposite of compression. So when you're doing compression, you're taking the quieter stuff and trying to bring it up, and take the loudest stuff and bring it down in dynamics. So you have a narrower dynamics. But with gating, you're sort of doing the opposite. So when the volume of your voice drops below a certain threshold, down, hopefully it's below 40 dB or some minus 40, then you say, well, that's where I want my threshold to be. So after I stop speaking, turn down the volume even further. And if it's set correctly, it can be a very nuanced thing where it's not just off on. And, as any of you know that have been doing audiobooks, you'll hear lots and lots of different requests from the the publishers and stuff saying, no noise reduction at all, or we want it to be pre-gated. I mean, I've heard everything from no gate to please gate it and everything in between, you know. But a properly tuned in noise gate can be really, really effective and pretty transparent. The key thing is, though, that the noise floor that you have has to already be below a certain amount to really work effectively and be not so noticeable when the gate is kicking in. And I think that's somewhere between minus 40 and minus 45 or something like that. If your noise floor before gating is much higher than that, you know, minus 35 and higher, the gate isn't going to do a very good job, because it'll work, but the thing is, it'll be very noticeable. Right. And again, the key thing with these processes is doing them so that the end user never really notices that you're doing them. They just know it sounds good. And so that process of noise gating, or also known as downward expansion, can be done in software. As we always say, we prefer doing it in post or in plugins, or it can be done in a mic preamp on the way in. You know, a lot of these newer mic channel strips have these settings, but they're hard to get right. And once it's printed to the track,
it's there forever.
Forever. It is permanent. So you got to really watch it. Make sure you know what your clients want. Bottom line is, make sure you know what they want. And if they don't know what they want, which is often the case, then give them the best possible output you possibly can. The cleanest, the hottest, with the least amount of noise. And, you know, that's been my policy for the last year or so, as more and more people are being asked to send out pre-polished audio. It should just sound like something you heard on a final spot. It should sound as close to a final mastered track as possible.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. And now the thing is and we preach this all the time. It's always best if you have noise, you know, say your client says, you know, you got noise back there. Yeah. Or if you send us something in one of our drop boxes to say, can you listen to our audio? Yeah. We get, and we're like, you know, you got a lot of noise back there. They're like, well, yeah, but most of the time it's because they've got their computer, they're reading off their computer or something like that. Right. And they've got the mic on a mic stand on the same desk, or they got a tower computer. Come on, it's 2012, almost 2013. And it's usually the fan from a computer, or just the sound. You know, PCs are a lot louder than Macs, but you know, as we're discovering, our Mac Minis can turn into a hair dryer if you run too much stuff. It's kind of interesting, but it's not all the time. It's only if there's like any heavy duty processing going on in there. Right. But the best way to get rid of sound is to get rid of the sound from its source.
The source. Yes.
You know, if you've got a physical sound, if you've got traffic, go somewhere where you can't hear the traffic. If you've got a furnace, turn the furnace off. If you've got a computer that's really loud, move the computer away, or use a longer microphone cable and put the microphone farther away from the unit. Some people are like, can I do that? Of course you can do that.
Yeah,
get a longer cord.
My cable is cheap, and it's very easy to extend it.
Right. And if you can't get rid of the noise, reassess your setup and where you're recording. There's got to be a better solution to it, or you have to invest something. But the electronic noise removal stuff is not something we recommend.
It's more of like what am I going to do? I've recorded 4 hours of this stuff, and it all has this noise, and now we're not going to, you know, it's sort of like a last resort. Right. Forensic almost kind of thing.
Right. Well, what it was designed for, especially in Adobe Audition and some of these other ones, it's really designed for video interviews. Say if you're interviewing somebody on the street, or because it was done for live video or for video production.
Yeah, or film.
It's it's for removing background noise to that where somebody is talking and there's other ambient noise around, and you want to reduce that so you can hear the person speaking. For single mono voice,
in a studio.
It's too obtrusive. Well, in a studio you shouldn't have it. But anyway, but that's we're on the same track with that one. Yeah. But then again, we're on the same track with just about everything.
Yeah, most everything. I mean, there is a digital noise reduction tool that's a standalone box. It's called Cedar. C-E-D-A-R. And if you Google Cedar, you will find a $1,000 plus box that does nothing but remove background noise. But if you got to invest that kind of money, you might as well invest in all the other things we mentioned before that happen. So
that's right. Like a nice quiet studio.
Quiet computer, move the computer, you know, all those kind of things.
All
Turn off
those
the air
sorts of
conditioning, work at night, do whatever you got to do.
Just get rid of the physical noise. Get rid of the physical noise.
Exactly.
Anyway, we got a lot more coming up. Dave Fennoy is coming up in about 15 minutes or so, probably even less than that. Let's give him lots of time with us. We've got announcements coming up and lots more right here on East West Audio Body Shop. So you stay tuned and be right where you are, because we'll be right back.
And now back to the only webcast done with 2 cans, 2 geeks, and a string. East West Audio Body Shop, with George Whittam on his end in the West and Dan Leonard in the East.
Well, thank you, Larry Davis. Well, we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop, and we got a bunch more of those liners. We're going to try and chop those up because they're actually pretty funny, and Larry and Elizabeth did a great job on those. So we got to present all of those because they went through the time and effort. That's right. Yeah. Chris, I think we should have every celebrity who comes on our show, which is every week on this show.
Exactly.
We should have them all cut a liner for us. You know, this is Dave Fennoy. This is Dave Fennoy.
Yeah.
You know,
I think we could get some good ones from Dave.
Yeah.
You're watching, Dave.
Yeah. I mean, geez, the guy's got a great voice. just talking naturally. I mean, some of us got to work at it. He just stands there and he sounds great. It's amazing.
He doesn't have to turn it on.
Yes. Well, it is time for. You got that racked up?
Oh, yeah. I'm supposed to do that, aren't I?
It's now time for announcements. Announcements.
There you go.
We're waiting, folks. Come on. You're just like torturing yourselves every week when we play that. Anyway, we have some major announcements this week.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for this? Do you have it? You have it in your hand there, George?
No.
Where is it? Come on.
Does it say editions for Oct 7 o'clock? Is that the announcements?
Yes.
Is that the one we're reading off of?
That's the one.
Okay. I got it.
Okay. You have that in your hand? You have it ready?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We have been waiting. They have been produced. We now have them, and you can order them.
The Mini Pop Stop. It's finished. It's ready for pre-order. What we're doing is we're pre-ordering 25 units so we can get the best possible price. These things are made, and these are cool little pop screens that are made specifically with the Apogee mic in mind. Of course, it'll fit a lot of other mics because the design of this unit is very universal in nature. It can be used on a lot of different mics. But we wanted something that would fit the Apogee mic because there is nothing out there yet that really works with the Apogee mic until now. So if you want to find them and see what they're all about and put in your pre-order, you can do that now.
This is East West Audio Body Shop.
Whoa, where's she coming from?
Dan Leonard in the East.
Oops, that's what
she can come here anytime.
Anytime. No, that's what happens when I load our own website. That's what I get for having an autoplay. On the front page of the site, you'll see a link for the Mini Pop Stop. Or you can click on the link at the top of the page for the EWABS shop, and you'll see the new Mini Pop Stop there. And these things are made in small numbers. It's a fellow here in L.A. named Mike Frenchick, and we've talked about his stuff on the show before. The Hook Studios. He OEMs the mic pop screens for Charter Oak, and makes a really wide variety of styles. But this one he helped prototype with us, and in cooperation with Graham Spicer up in Toronto. And this is the result of that project. So I hope you guys can check it out and get your pre-order in for $40 with shipping to the U.S. and Canada. And if you're somewhere else in the world, drop us a note and we'll let you know what it might cost to ship out to you. It doesn't weigh much. It'll be in a padded envelope, and it weighs less. It's in the padded envelope. It weighs 2 ounces. You know, so
we could make a paper airplane out of it.
Exactly. It's very lightweight, very portable, and very effective. So check it out, and I hope you can be part of that initial pre-order and let us know what you think of it. And of course, we'll post it on line, and we'll also let Mike know, and that way, if there's any way to make improvements, the next batch could even have some improvements made. So that's the beauty of such a limited run of a small product like this, is we can make tweaks along the way. So
right, and the originals will be a collector's item.
Exactly, but
we'll find them in garage sales in 30 years.
Yeah, I think you'll be quite happy with them. We tested them quite a bit before we put them out there. So
yeah. I'm waiting for mine to arrive. You did put it in the mail, did you not?
I did, sir. I did. It'll probably be sitting there waiting for you when you come back from
Florida.
Florida.
Okay. All right.
I went in the mail yesterday, unfortunately.
Well, it's the way it goes.
I move slowly.
Yes. Also, we need to remind you that, and we want people to sign up for this. It's the EWABS memberships. George and I will answer your email questions. We get tons and tons of questions from you guys, and we love to answer them, but we want to do it in an orderly fashion, and we want to give priority to the people who really support our show and what we do for them. If you have a question, you have a technical problem, if you email us at ewabshop@gmail.com and you have an EWABS membership, we'll get back to you within 24 hours, either George or myself.
Or sometimes both.
Or both of us.
Yeah. Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah. And it will collaborate on things. Maybe Dan knows something I don't know, or I know something he doesn't know. Two heads are always better than one. And it will be, we can do a lot of different things by email now. I mean, we can do diagrams. We can lay out a schematic of what you need to plug into what. There's all kinds of stuff we can do remotely. So
make stacks for you.
Yeah,
I mean, all those sorts of things. I mean, we'll have to crumb up with some parameters on this sort of thing. But it's only $75 a month, and the way some of you guys ask questions, it's a bargain.
Yeah, it could definitely pay for itself after a while. But mainly, it's about helping our show survive, thrive, and add to the production value, and help start paying for some of the services like our lovely producer, Catherine Curridin, who's put in a lot of work without a single cent in payment. So she's awesome. One day we will be able to pay her.
Yeah. Well, we send her swag though. We should have a picture of her with the bag and the hat and the T-shirt and all that.
I got a picture in here somewhere. Let me see. There it is. She is styling.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thanks for sending that in.
Yes. Also, this came out just this week. I'm going to be doing a workshop up in Toronto, along with our good friend Elley-Ray Hennessy.
Oh, awesome.
The 27th and the 28th, a Halloween workshop. And she's going to be, talking with her students, people who sign up about voice acting. She's a great coach. We've had her on the show, and she's wonderful. And I'm going to do a whole day on answering questions about home studios and editing and working with different pieces of software. So here's your opportunity to come up and, actually poke me in the ribs and see what I'm made of, and and find out how to edit better and how to run your software better. So, Pat, if you're in there somewhere, tell us the address.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to get that one written down somewhere. So that's announcements for today, unless you got something else.
That's all we got time for, I think. We got to keep moving. We got to keep moving.
We got to keep moving because we want to get Dave Fennoy on here. Well, it is time now. Yes, you wait for it every week. I can't wait to make them every week because it takes 2 days. And this was done with new software, so if it doesn't work, we'll blame the software. Here's our tip of the week on computer maintenance. the blue screen of death. Hey, it happens. But why? Lousy computer? A virus? Maybe. More likely than not, it's usually a case of poor computer maintenance. Every day I hear, "I'm not a techie. I don't understand computers." As a voice actor, you rely on your computer for your livelihood. I would think that the technophobia that many suffer can be easily overcome. The reason is it's based on mythology, on the boogeyman in the closet or some egotistical IT guy you've probably run across sometime. A computer is a machine, just like your car. With your car, you change the oil, fill it with gas, have it inspected and maintained. You literally are taking your life in your hands if you don't. Just like your car, you need to maintain your computer. And some basic habits will go a long way to your machine's proper operation and longevity. PC or Mac. Empty your trash bin every day. In fact, set your computer to empty it automatically when you sign in or sign off. Those files are just dead weight on your hard drive. Your computer has to acknowledge them, and that takes up computing time. Okay, who's in there? Watch for signs of improper operation, stalling, hanging, an occasional crash, and even official warnings of impending disaster. Don't let it happen 2 or 3 times. If you get an operational anomaly, oh, sorry, I don't want to sound like that IT guy again. If something doesn't seem right or out of the ordinary, it probably is. Multitasking is better than it used to be, but try to have your computer do only what you want it to do when you want it to. There's already enough going on in your operating system just to run your computer. Don't throw another boulder on its shoulder. Use well-known diagnostic programs like Norton, PC Tools Registry Mechanic, and for Macs, a great one called Mac Keeper. Don't buy ones from pop-ups. Essentially, you want to regularly and routinely clean out your unused files, repair permissions, and make sure your internet security is working properly.
And keep it clean using a vacuum cleaner to get out the dust.
If you do crash, don't call a friend. Call the manufacturer or take it to an authorized repair place. I found the Apple Genius Bar a super service. Yeah, sometimes you have to wait a while, but that's better than not having your recording program for a few more days. Be patient. I found that impatience leads to making things worse by clicking everything in sight.
So when the computer crashes, probably the best thing to do is what our Canadian friends like to do. They say, when in doubt, reboot. And that's my tip of the week.
Yes, that's what happens when you live on the Canadian border. You pick up the accent and a lot of Canadian change, too.
Sage advice.
Yes. When in doubt, reboot. Because I'll tell you, that usually fixes a lot of things. But a lot of people were saying things in the chat room there about repair your permissions if you got a Mac, because I mean the mountain line's a little buggy here and there, but it's nothing like Windows 7. Windows 7, it's
or Vista, even worse.
Yeah, Vista, it's even worse. So, take care of your computer. Also, if you have a crash, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call somebody else. No, give us a call or send us an email and say, "I crashed." Well, we'll get back to you as soon as we can, especially if you're an EWABS member. But generally, George and I are pretty good with this basic computer stuff, and don't be intimidated by it. It's just a machine.
And back up.
And back up.
Yeah.
Having been in the insurance business, trust me, have insurance. Back it up.
Yeah.
And that's what backup drives are for.
That's right.
Anyway, that's going to do it for Tip of the Week. We've got Dave Fennoy coming up here on East West Audio Body Shop and lots more, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Go Studio Tech. Recording made simple.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
This is Jim Tasker from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
Hi, this is Joe Szymanski.
Hey, this is Rick Robles.
Hi, my name is John Patrick Armstrong.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish him.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
And now, back to East West Audio Body Shop, where every week it's Apollo 13.
I love that's my favorite one of all time so far.
Thank you. I can't believe I came up with that one. Actually, I think you came up with that. It's like, it's Apollo 13 here every week. I'm like, well, we'll make that a liner. That's a good one.
We got a dog in the house.
Yeah, hopefully my dog won't hear him. Anyway, it's time to bring on our special guest. And joining us from Los Angeles, California, the HULU Guy. Not the dog, the HULU Guy. Dave Fennoy, welcome to East West Audio Body Shop.
You know, my dogs were just outside being very quiet, and they said, "Oh, can we come in?" I said, "No, you guys gonna have to be quiet." And of course, they immediately start barking. Bo, that's enough. Daddy's working.
Put him on camera, and then that way we can.
Oh no, he's gonna. Excuse me. This is so embarrassing. I'll be right back.
Okay. Talks amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Now you can observe the rest of Dave's studio. As you can see over there, we've got a whisper room back in the corner there, and looks like he's sitting in a Herman Miller Aeron sitting machine chair. One of the most comfortable chairs in the business.
Of course.
You like is that the Aeron Herman Miller chair?
Yes, it is.
That's like the best chair to sit in all day long, isn't it?
I love this chair, and I spend so much time in it that, you know, it's a necessity.
Totally. I'm actually debating on starting standing at my studio desk one of these days. But
well, you know, I'm a stander when I work, but I'm a sitter sitting at my desk when I'm editing and studying scripts and all that kind of stuff, all the peripheral work that goes along with doing voiceover, checking your email. I'm sitting at this desk, but my booth is right there, and I step right in and let's get to work.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your day like, Dave? I mean, we'll get into a little bit of how you got into this. I mean, it's our first standard question, of course, is how did you get into the business? But we'll save that for later.
Okay.
All right.
My day varies quite a bit. It depends on, you know, what I've got going on. Like last week, Monday, I did some HULU things, bunch of auditions, and tip for anybody in the business, I think our real job is to audition well. Once you book the job from your wonderful audition, the work is actually just fun. Yeah. But so I pay a lot of attention to auditions, and I actually have grown to like the world we're in now, where most of the time you're working from your home studio and you're auditioning at home. So I remember when I first got in the business, and I would drive to my agents, do my audition, and then, you know, 10 minutes away in my car, I'd go, "Oh God, I should have done that. Oh God,
I should have done this." Yeah.
And when you're at home, you know, you've got a little time, you can do it, get away from it, have a cup of coffee or water or tea or whatever you're going to do, and come back.
Listen to it.
Yeah, listen. That, of course, that goes without saying, but I guess
I'm sorry.
With fresh ears, that is.
I can listen with fresh ears and go, "Oh wow, that really did suck." But so I spent a lot of time paying attention to what my auditions sound like, and working. I have a variety of kinds of clients. Of course, there's Hulu stuff every day. But I've got commercials, I've got games, I've got narrations, I've got TV promos. In the next few days, I promised myself I would never do this, but I'm going to anyway, audiobooks.
Okay.
Ooh. We're here to help.
Yeah.
What's that?
We're here to help.
Somebody needs to help me. Somebody should help me before I agree to do one. Tell the stories sometimes of we talk about the best jobs we've ever had, and of course, you think of like the job that went Sizzler, and how many thousands and thousands of dollars, butter, those jobs that make a ton. Haven't had quite one of those, but I was doing some promos for ABC years ago, and I had done several promos another day, and they called me in, and I went next, and they go, "Great, bye." And they put it on like 25 or 30 promos and tags of various kinds, and I get this huge check for that one word. And why I think of that as I've agreed to do an audio book, which will be many pages for not very much money. Less for the money and more for kind of the education, the challenge of it. The industry is growing so fast, and they need so many voices. And I thought, well, in my doddering old age, 20 or 30 years from now, it might be what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, the key to doing audiobooks and not going crazy and not going broke is just having a really efficient workflow, where you're spending as little time in the booth or at the computer as possible. So that's a lot of what I've been getting asked to help with these days is how do I edit faster? How do I make this quick punch thing work? And
yeah. It's the same as getting to Carnegie Hall, though. Practice, practice, practice. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And that's because you've been editing short stuff and working in the studio a while, you'll go, oh, there's nothing to it. You'll just buzz right through it.
Yeah.
So why is this taking all afternoon? Usually I get this done in 2 minutes, and this is taking me 45 just to do this one chapter. So
make sure you take lots of breaks.
Yes. I think to breaks, but I think one of the things is I will not be able to be as self-critical as some other things. I think when you look at hours and hours and hours of talking as opposed to 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, your accuracy, perfection, hitting every emotion, all of that, I think is much more critical in a shorter amount of time than over a longer amount of time where you have a chance to spin out the emotions and the stories and whatnot. Plus, I think people get tired if you're too dead on it and too deep into it, for hour after hour. So I'm assuming I'm going to be a little more relaxed with it, but we'll see. I'm starting this week coming up.
You will find a little bit of advice since we're doing Dr. Phil here. You'll find that as you start to do an audiobook, you will take on the essence, the aura, the essence of the author. You'll know what they're going to say next, and it will start to flow to you, and you will become the author. And that's the really cool thing about, especially if it's a good writer. If the writer sucks, you're like, God, I really suck. I have a feeling that if they're having you do it, it's going to be, John Grisham or something along those lines.
Haven't done one yet. I've been offered several. It's very funny.
Fiction or non? Fiction. Okay.
Okay. Well, you've done, game characters and other stuff. Nothing to it. Just get into it and do it. It just takes a lot longer.
Thanks. A lot.
Yes. Anyway, well, let's go back to first off, George. Why don't you rack up his promo reel so we can get an idea of some of the stuff that this guy has done. But how did you get started? How did you get started in this? You started like me in radio, though. Where did you start off?
I was a radio guy, and I was doing mornings up in San Francisco. I was working under the name Billy David Ocean at. I knew I'd get a laugh out of it.
Oh, it's a guaranteed laugh.
It's
a R&B station up in the Bay Area. We were the perennial #1 for years. And unlike a lot of people in radio, I had moved to Northern California to start my radio career and started in a major market and had success there. I was very fortunate. But at some point, before I was doing mornings, early in my career, a guy who was on the radio at KBLX, which is still going strong up there, we were friends, and I was stopping by the station for something. I was writing commercials and being a continuity director and stuff. And as he was leaving, I said, "Hey, where you going, man?" He says, "Oh, I'm going over to the city," because we were in Berkeley, city being San Francisco. "I'm going over to the city to do some voiceover work." I said, "What?" He said, "Voiceover work, voice of commercials." He says, "I make more money doing that than I do on the air." And then he told me, "You need a demo tape, get you an agent. Yeah, you could do it." And I was interested, and it only took me 2 years to actually do anything about it. But after being on the radio for a while, I began to think, what? I'm not going to want to spin records for teenagers forever. I'm going to want to do something else. And my childhood background and high school background, college background was theater and music. And I had decided I wasn't going to grow up to be a rock and roll star after all. So I might as well go with the theater thing. And radio, being a disc jockey, to me was more playing the part. I mean, I was being me, but there's kind of a, I was a morning guy. I got to play a lot of characters and, do wacky, crazy stuff and make up crazy stories and stuff. And I had a theater background, had been a child actor. So it wasn't as difficult a transition, I think, for me from the radio read to anything else in voiceover. And I'd always loved animation, and I always made up voices when I was a kid. And, as I got older, you got to be cool. You can't be making up no voices around no good-looking women and stuff. But so that's what led me on, and I made a really awful demo tape. I mean, everything wrong you could do, I did in this. It was too long. It was full of local retail spots. It was very announcy. And Joan Spangler in San Francisco, she was the agent of the day then. She basically said, "Well, you're pretty talented, but your tape sucks. Come 6 months with a new tape." And I did. And I think partially because she wanted a new tape and she wanted to see, is this a whim for this guy, or will he show up again in 6 months? And once I bite into something, I usually chew for a good long time. So.
Well, let's hear what a good demo sounds like.
The following program is brought to you with limited commercial interruption by the Chevy Malibu. World-class luxury and reliability at a price everyone can afford. Now the #1 prescribed acid-reducing brand is available over the counter to treat frequent heartburn day and night. Prevacid 24-hour. We've got sweet-talking American greeting cards, melty sweetie Hershey chocolate, and a dozen Mad Lovin' roses for only $15.99. Also not a problem. If you sign up for a Union Federal Home Equity Line or loan by August 1st, you could even qualify for a complimentary cruise or resort vacation. If you lived in a place like Kenya, chances are you'd have little say about when and how many children you'll have. For these women and girls, life isn't about choices. To help, visit engenderhealth.org. Public Storage delivers specially designed containers. You fill them, you lock them. We pick them up and store them. It's simple and inexpensive. If you can't handle the cheese, get out of the kitchen. Velveeta, unleash the cheese. In a room this nice, you're on your best behavior. That's the IKEA effect. Then boogie on down to your Target and let the love begin.
Hey. All right. So if everybody was listening out there, what was it about that demo that makes it so good? Why? I mean, aside from the contrast, the one thing maybe you noticed I was using my fingers as we were doing. What was it? Somebody in the chat room, tell us, what was it?
Well, can I say something?
No, I want to see it.
I'm like the 5-year-old. I'm the 5-year-old that wants to answer me.
Okay, George, go ahead.
They sounded like real spots.
Well, I was getting to that. Each one of those cuts was 10 seconds or less. If because I was counting, it was like 10. Oh, that one was 7. That one was 8. That one, it really didn't go. You want to be able to have as much in there as possible that shows your range and contrast, and not let somebody get stuck on that one thing and move on. And that's what makes a great demo reel. But what really makes a great demo reel is somebody who's as good as you, because that's what makes it all worthwhile.
Of course. Totally.
Hey, I offer a little advice on.
Sure.
I'm very versatile. That is one of my blessings, and it can be a curse. But there are people out there who aren't nearly as versatile. But that does not mean you won't have a good career and can't have a good career. I think you can have a very, very good and very strong demo tape that has far less range, and sometimes even if it's the same. If the box that you're working with is much smaller, the kind of music you're using, the change of tempo of music from piece to piece, and your subject matter can make all the difference in the world. You don't have to go from A to Z. You can be, right there. And this is this one thing that I do, but I do it great. You can have a great career doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, some people get pigeonholed, but they get paid a lot to be a pigeon. So how did I come up with that one?
Use it.
Say that again?
Use it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me write that one down. Okay. Anyway, so what do you have going on in that room? I mean, what is that? A U47 or what do you got sitting in front of you? Or is that a 103?
It's a Neumann TLM 170.
170. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I am a Neumann endorsed artist. So all my microphones are Neumann or Sennheiser that I use. Now, I have some other microphones that I've used over the years, but we won't talk about those. That said, we do live in the age of cheap Japanese microphones that actually can be pretty good. People, especially starting out, don't have the finances to buy a $700, $800, $900 or like my U87 $3,000 microphone. But you don't have to, And as a matter of fact, I heard you guys talking today about noise and eliminating noise. One of the wonderful things about my Neumann, they hear so well. There's not much that they miss. And sometimes if you are in a noisier place or there's stuff going, if you have a microphone that isn't quite as good, accurate in what it reproduces, but doesn't hear as much, it won't hear the stuff outside that you have to worry about. My U87, if there's a cricket across the singing its song, it's going to pick it up. It just hears it. It hears everything.
Yeah. So you've got the 147 note. You have a whisper room in there. What do you have hiding in there?
I have a 5x7 whisper room that I really like a lot. I have it covered instead of foam rock wool that I covered. I'm kind of a do-it-yourself guy with a lot of things that I put the black burlap on myself and have Velcroed to the walls and tip on Velcro with putting it on the walls there. You got to use some really good glue. The glue on the Velcro ain't going to last. You'll put it up and 3 days later, look at my stuff's on the ground. And I don't use paper anymore. I have a 26-inch monitor in the booth that is mirrored to my iMac. And so I can just bring up Pro Tools, which I use, bring up Pro Tools, bring up my scripts, got a keyboard and touchpad in the booth, wireless, so I can control everything from right there. It makes it very simple, and that's how I go to work. Right now I have my TLM 103 hanging. A couple weeks ago it was the Sennheiser. Sometimes you get, I'm feeling kind of it's teeny. So, and you know, I'm sure once I'm trying, gee, this 103, it's just not picking up my voice the way I like anymore. The U87, yeah, that's what I'll use.
Sometimes changing the mic just changes the mystique, and I don't know, keeping things fresh occasionally can keep you fresh. You know, it's there's so much you know, psychoacoustical stuff that goes on sometimes, and if that works for you that day,
it is so true. We're especially now that most people have home studios. It's almost, you almost have to have it. I used to joke, you know, if you had a Mac and a microphone and a high-speed internet connection, you could at least claim to be in the voiceover business. And that's probably more true now than when I started saying it. So you need decent equipment. You need a decent place to record. But you can drive yourself nuts with your auditions and, oh, gee, did that sound good? I don't know. At some point, you have to let it go, have confidence in yourself, and do I believe me? Every now and then, you know, I'll have somebody, hey, listen, can you listen to this? Because I can't hear it anymore. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I've lost my mind. And I say that because a lot of people think that even though I've been doing this a long time and I work all the time, I've got the same insecurities that somebody just starting out has. Does it really sound good? You know, I have confidence in myself that I can do what I need to do, but we all have those insecurities.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. I mean, we were talking earlier about, you know, noise reduction. Are you having to find that it helps to use some sort of noise gating or anything, even though you have a whisper room? Do you still use that stuff?
It's the noise gating much for the same reasons I was listening, for the same reasons that you were talking about. I'd rather have a much more natural sound than process. I do use a little compression on a lot of things. Sometimes on the gaming stuff, no compression. I probably will not use compression when I'm doing the audiobooks. But that's easy to click in and click out, and depending on what I'm doing, if it's it's like gaming things. If I'm doing a quiet passage, some just normal tones in a game, I'll adjust the level, my record level. And then when it's time to shout and scream, I'll adjust it again so that I'm not overmodulating, or we don't have needles anymore, but you remember
pegging it, yeah.
And I do use a channel strip that a very wise person that works with voiceover people and helping them get their studios together told me about. I have a Wheaton Voris M1, which I'm sure no one has ever heard of except you, George Whittam. Except, and I had a point where I was I'd been using what is this thing? Oh yeah, Afix 230, which wasn't a bad little piece of equipment, but it was a little. It wasn't sounding organic enough for me. I don't know if you understand what I mean by that, but I wanted something a little more transparent.
Right.
And I had been looking at perhaps an Avalon 737. Everybody loves them. And of course, I was talking to Bo Weaver. He says, yeah, I got one. I love it because it looks so cool, but no, I don't use it. It looks cool in my studio. And I said, well, you know, I'm not going to spend $2,500 for a piece of equipment that just looks cool. And you turned me on to this piece of equipment, and it's great. The Wheaton Voris M1. It's a great little channel strip, very clean, and not nearly as expensive.
Fascinating. So are you doing it? I know you like to teach, and you probably like doing workshops and stuff like that. You got anything coming up, and what do you like to teach when you do?
To teach, but I don't teach really privately anymore. I did raffle myself off teaching session for a young man. His wife had died, and they were trying to raise money. for his kids and whatnot, and helped them raise about $5,000. And so I did some teaching just recently. More often than not, I like to, go to somebody else's class or be a guest speaker or something like that. I think there are plenty of really good teachers out there, and that's not to say I won't do it again in the future, but I'm not really teaching right now. And when I do, my method, I think, is probably very different. I look at, there's one thing I'm trying to get at is with somebody's believability. And I think there are two ways to get there. There's the organic and there's the technical. And a lot of times, if you learn some technical things to do, it can help you become more organic. Taking those words off the page is the essence of this. The biggest thing most people have is readiness, and because they're looking at that page and translating those words through the eyes into the head, down and through the mouth, something gets lost. And the art of what we do is making that very organic, very natural, very normal, very believable.
Outstanding. That's the essence of voiceover. Yeah.
I was going to say, can we segue into playing a little bit of your animation and games demo? Just
I was going to talk about that. Yeah.
Cool.
Excuse me, but I'm seeking wisdom and enlightenment. The meaning of life. Can anybody help me?
Well, welcome, my son, to the First Church of the Gooey Death and Discount House of Worship. I'm here to talk to you today about the most flippantly disregarded of the 7 deadly sins. The one that says, keep your heathen hands off of your neighbor's old lady. Amen.
Thanks, but that's not exactly what I was looking for. Hey man, rust the boots and I got what you're looking for. Take a toke on this fatty man. Thanks, but I'm on a diet here, so, the munchies, not gonna work for me.
Well, pass that fatty over here, bro.
It's kind of ironic, but I find truth in the chronic.
Here's a bit of wisdom. Life is full of misery, loneliness, and suffering. And it's all over much too soon.
But of course that is what you would say. I spit on you. I spit on your country.
Well, just don't spit over here, Frenchie. We may not be there the next time things heat up, and you need us to pull your bacon out of the frying pan.
Whoa, wait.
That is very old. And that's actually one that I put together. I made it all up. Games and animation demo that's all from work I've actually done that I use for free. Where did you find it? It's probably on my website.
It is. It's on your website.
Yeah. You've done some great character stuff in some games. Not that I'm a gamer, but I know a lot of people who are. Like you've done The Walking Dead, Warcraft 3, the World of Warcraft, Star Wars, you were the general in the Clone Wars. I mean, and Pong, Pong Krell, that was his name. I mean, what does it take to do one of those? I mean, was that a massive script? I've done a few video games, but was that like, how many different lines did that require?
Well, the Pong Krell, that was, that's animation. That's the cartoon series, Star Wars, The Clone Wars. I'm also I play Commander and Archer, so it's all kinds of crazy cartoons. But what does it take? Just an imagination to see a character, get an idea. When you are given the information about who this character is and what motivates him, what drives him, the kinds of things he does, and you basically develop a voice based on who that character is, what he wants, out of your own imagination and the mechanics of your voice, and away you go. And usually, sometimes animation you've got pictures character, which isn't always a help when you watch things like Family Guy and you see the little baby, and who would think that the little baby would sound like this? It's very much against type, but typically that picture tells me a lot about who that character is. And then, of course, there's some kind of description, and then you just go with it. But and then how many accents do you do? Where's a character from? Is he Jamaican or is he from Africa? Well, he might be English, actually. All of that plays in.
Or Eastern Europe. Could be from Eastern Europe or something like that. Anyway, yeah. Hey. Dave, it's been a pleasure having you on the show tonight. We've been looking forward to this for months. When am I going to get Dave Fennoy on the show? There he is. Thanks for being with us, and say that again.
I hope I haven't bored anybody just rambling on.
Anybody bored there? I mean, come on now. Thanks for being with us, Dave. That was great. And then you gave our audience the kind of stuff that they wait Sunday night to hang out at their computer to hear wisdom people like you. Not necessarily us, but definitely you. And we're glad you were able to join us tonight.
Look, everybody, follow me at Dave Fennoy for tweets. I tend to, when I have time, I actually answer people's questions. Don't be too bent out of shape if it takes me a little bit of time to get to you. But people helped me when I was getting started. So I think we need to, pass it on.
I agree. Dave, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All righty.
Listening before the good stuff.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, we'll go to a spot here so we can regroup.
Yes, absolutely. Be right back.
VoiceOver Extra, the voiceover industry's online news, education, and resource center 24/7. Hundreds, probably thousands of free how-to articles for voiceover success, ranging from home studio to voice acting to business. A free voiceover industry directory, calendar of industry events, resource links, a store, and much more. Bi-monthly webinars on all topics of voiceover, free subscriptions to newsletters, reports, announcements, daily news, and features at voiceoverextra.com.
That was great. Thanks for being on, Dave.
Yeah, that was really fabulous. I'm thinking maybe we should have guest people answer on the EWABS Club emails too.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That's right. Well, what do we do? Let's ask Joe Cipriano. Let's ask Dave Fennoy.
That would be a really interesting twist.
That really would. It's what we call added value.
That's right. That's right.
Guys got to sign up for EWAB memberships. We want you to be in the club.
Yeah, man.
So, because we like talking to you guys.
Well, we'll do Dave a solid because I know that was an older demo, and we'll put a link to Dave's latest reel of animation voices in the show notes. I promise. Excellent. Well, speaking of stuff that's excellent, you got to go to voiceoveressentials.com because Harlan Hogan has assembled this great array, this humongous supply. Well, no, actually, he's sort of narrowed it down to make it easy for you. He's got everything you could possibly need for voiceover. He's got the microphones. He's got the Portabooth Plus. He's got the Portabooth Pro. He's got. Is he still selling the original Portabooth? No, I think the original one has been replaced by the Plus.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because you can make one of those, getting one of those things at Target and throw some foam in it. But the new ones are just so much better, especially the Plus. Great unit. We've tested it. I like it. I will take it with me on the road faithfully because I know it works. And you got to know how to use it, but it works really, really well. The Portabooth Plus.
Yeah, I think it's a great combination of size, function, and price. I think it's one of my favorite products that he's come out with so far.
Yeah, it's very, very well done. And of course, in combination with the other stuff, see how easy that thing goes together? I mean, it takes me 30 seconds at most to put this thing together, and it packs up really small and fits right in a suitcase or in its own carrying case. It's a nice thing to have. So if you need something like that, and see, it even hooks onto a mic stand. And he's got that special shell. Everything you could possibly need. If he doesn't have it, you probably don't need it, as Garrison Keillor would say. And that's a great unit to have, the Portabooth Plus, plus all the other great stuff that he has at voiceoveressentials.com. Go over there if you need stuff. I think that's the best place. Thank you, Harlan.
Yes, thank you very much, Harlan. We really appreciate your support of the show. You've been with us since the very beginning. We really appreciate it.
Really, it was amazing. Yeah, I'll do that. What? It's a talk show? What? Yeah, sure, whatever.
Whatever it is, you guys, I'll do it.
We'll do it. That's a friend.
That is a friend. Thanks, Harlan.
Yes. Excellent. Okay, well, we got to roll this thing to an end somehow. We got a couple of things left to talk about here. Yeah. What's up in tech news this week? Anything interesting?
Well, I would say one of the more interesting things is, let's see. We've got, for example, for those of you using, the Mac, I'd say Mountain Lion is getting to its mature phase. They have 10.8.2 out.
It's still teething.
It's still teething, but usually by the 0.2 is when things start to really come together. And those of you who are Pro Tools users, hangers-on that really want to be on Pro Tools, it is now officially compatible. So you got to run Pro Tools 10.3, I believe, to be able to run with Mountain Lion now.
How much is an upgrade for something like that? I mean, Pro Tools has got, they just build this planned-in obsolescence with this stuff.
Yeah, I call it the upgrade spiral, So once you have a system that, if you go to a professional studio in Hollywood, chances are, or even most anywhere in the world or country where that uses Pro Tools, you'll probably notice that they're not using the latest version of everything. Sometimes they have a 6-7-year-old version because it's reliable, it works, and they don't want to invest a huge upgrade cost in buying new everything to be compatible with the latest thing. So I always say with Pro Tools, once you lock into a version, just kind of keep your computer in stasis for as long as possible so you're not stuck having to upgrade things over and over. But that's what's going on with Pro Tools. Also, from a technical standpoint, Dan and I are both running Mac Minis now. The Hackintosh has been retired officially, and I'm really glad to say that. And it died a painful death this week where it would just start freezing every 30 to 40 minutes, and I just could not deal with it anymore. So I got the Mac Mini Core i7. That's the quad-core server version, the same one Dan has. And why is it a server? Well, they make their most powerful Mini a server version because they assume that you're going to want to use it as a server in a rack, for specific server duties. But honestly, it makes one kick-butt desktop computer. You can't get more bang for the buck in something that small, that unobtrusive, and in my opinion, that reliable. So that's what I'm running now. And I stuck a Samsung 830 SSD boot drive in that sucker. And I did it myself, and I used a website called ifixit.com. And even if you don't, you're a little squeamish about fixing things, start reading this website, look at their user guides and their fixing guides. They take you into a lot of detail with very detailed photographs, color-coded with what screw is where. And if you're not totally all thumbs, you can probably do a lot of the repairs you need to do. And iFixit isn't just Mac stuff now. It covers a wide variety of things. But they went. I would never have dreamt of taking that Mac Mini, that brand new Mac Mini, all the way apart without that guide. And that little Mac Mini comes apart so easily. I took it all the way apart, put it back together, then realized I had changed the wrong hard drive because it has two. Had to take it all the way apart, put it all the way back together again, and I did the whole thing in about an hour, back and forth 2 times. So it's a really very, very nicely designed little computer. I'm thrilled with it.
Yeah, you just screw off the top on it or something and go in there.
You pop off the bottom. There's the memory. That's the no-brainer part. Take a few screws out. Take out the fan. Take a couple more screws out. Then use this funky little tool that they recommend. It's literally a bent coat hanger. And stick it in 2 holes. Pry it out a little bit. It pops out. Then you unplug a little power cable. There's 5 little connectors you have to unplug. So that's where you got to be really careful. But you pop a few connectors out, power supply slides out, motherboard slides out, and before you know it, the thing it's literally taken apart completely. It really is amazingly how they condensed it down to only a few components. You can only really appreciate it if you've worked on some PCs where you've got about 20 different components in there, or some of the Mac laptops where there's about 70 pieces on the table when you're done. But I'm loving that machine. I'm really, definitely really happy. How does it affect the warranty? Boy, that is a good question, Paul. Well, what I understand is if you do replace your own hard drive and it's not from Apple, it may not be covered under Apple Care. I was told by an engineer or technician at Mac Mall that you're going to have to put the other drive back in there before you ship it off to Apple. If you do have a problem. So keep the original drive handy.
Good thing you've practiced putting one in. Now you know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to keep the other one around. And what I'm using the other one for is a clone. So I'm using Carbon Copy Cloner, and I'm cloning my system drive to that disk, once a night or once a week. So if my SSD did totally crash, I can very quickly get back online, put this drive back into the computer, and it will boot back up within, I can be up again in 20 minutes and not skip a beat. So anyway.
Yeah. There was one other thing that happened this week, and Sony released SoundForge as a Mac,
How
as
could
a
I
Mac
forget?
software. I know Paul tried it.
Yeah, I tried it too.
I looked at it, I saw what you said about it. Your verdict on it, Paul, what did you think about
maybe
it?
my review is not so fair. I did have some crashing, which never makes it a good experience. And I also found that some functions of it weren't working correctly at all. So I was not getting a really good experience. But it still feels very stripped down. They didn't just simply try to port the Windows version to Mac, which for a good reason, you really can't. So they had to build it from the ground up. And I don't know, they might have rushed it to market a little bit. It could have been a little bit more feature rich for the $250 or so price tag. But at least you can demo it for 7 days and see if you like it, which is, if you know Sony, pretty rare that they let you demo anything. Check it out.
Yeah, Adobe gives you 30 days, but I think I probably will. Of course, I would guess by that review, not yet, I guess would be the recommendation.
Not yet. It's still a 1.0.2 or something, version. They're working out a lot of bugs, and it's not ready for prime time. If you're on Mac and you just want to edit, Twisted Wave is still the best, simple, fast, and cheap editor. With Adobe Audition, for those who want a lot more forensic level declicking and really want to get in there and do a lot more precise cleaning.
Well, it's that time of the day, that time on Sunday.
I know you're wiped out. I can tell.
Yeah, it's getting kind of late. I got to get up real early tomorrow morning and head down to the Sunshine State for some not so sunny stuff. But next week, now those of you who are hoping to join me at FAFCon, I'm hoping that I can be there. I'm not 100% sure I'm not going to be able to make it. All depends on how things go the next day or so. But I'd hate to miss that. But family stuff is what it's all about.
Paramount, yeah.
That's the most important thing. So next week, I understand Dave Quavassier is going to be sitting in this chair. Although he's not going to be sitting in this chair, he's going to be sitting in his chair in Vegas.
That is the plan. That's the plan.
And do we have a guest lined up for next week?
I think we're still juggling guests right now. We've got two possibilities, and one might be backing up the other one. So we'll have to keep you tuned in on that one.
Right. And if I'm at FAFCon, I will report from FAFCon. If not, you'll know where I am. Yeah. Anyway.
Anybody else going to FAFCon, by all means, if you don't have an iPhone or an Android phone that shoots video, then you're probably not a working voiceover. But get out there and shoot some impromptu interviews, or just say hi to people and send it into the show. Be a contributor. We'd love to share some of the, I know they want to keep the nuggets at FAFCon, but some of the fun stuff in the hallways, or if you go out at the NASCAR track or whatever it is they're doing, send us in some video. We'd love to share it with everybody.
Yeah. I mean, how hard is it to use one of these things? Come on, just take a shot at you, load it to your computer, and it's easy to do. I do those tips of the week, and I do that with an iPhone and an iPad and and my Mac Pro. It's not hard to do. Video editing is, if you know how to edit audio. Video editing is the same thing. It's just you're adding one more element into it. But we're still looking for a correspondent. So if any of you know how to do that, we'd be glad to have. We're all ears and eyes, which is the great thing about this show. Anyway, that's going to do it for this week, I think. We have lots of people to thank. Of course, thanking Catherine. We thanked once already, but we can never thank her enough. That's right. Our wonderful wives for letting us do this every week, although mine's not here right now, which makes it a little easier. And who else do we need to thank? Well, let's see. Jan and our wonderful audience. We love you guys for showing up every week. Jason Lawson.
Show notes.
Tirelessly
doing the show.
Tirelessly. And of course, the internet. Otherwise, this wouldn't be possible. Anyway, that's all for this week. Hopefully, I'll see you next week. If not, I know on November 7th, we've got Lori Allen coming up.
Yeah, we've also actually, it looks like we have locked in Bill Smith, CEO of Oralex, on the 21st.
Outstanding. If I was going to be around this week, and I'm not going to be around on Wednesday, I don't think, he was actually going to drive through Buffalo because he wants to see my studio. Well, I'll probably have to make it another time. But what a great guy. I mean, he watches this show. The president of Oralex watches our show.
That's awesome.
He was talking about Joel Bernstein, my otolaryngologist. He thought it was great. Anyway, that's going to do it for this week. I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West. And together we are
East-West Audio Body Shop. All right.
You tried it. You couldn't do it.
All right. We'll see you next time, everybody. Have a great week.
Take care.